What's going on? I'm Chaundon, CEO of Golden Era Music Inc. I'm an MC, producer, inspiring DJ, songwriter, director. What can I say? The world's on my shoulders. I've always been making beats. Well, not really. The story begins like around 1993. I was a junior in Stevenson High School, Castle Hill in the Bronx. I teamed up with a couple of my friends. DL and Faye Raw, and we had a group called SWAT Team, and we was just 16 years old in high school. We just wanted to rap, and we had to make our own beats. So I had my first experience making beats at the studio. I never knew how to use the MPC or nothing like that. I just told the engineer what I wanted, and for our first single, it was called Funky Operation. I told him I wanted the drums from, Long Live the Kane, Big Daddy Kane's joint. I wanted him to chop up the horns from Large Professor's record, Faking the Funk, and then we just kind of made a makeshift bass line, and it worked. I was basically conducting the session, but I did not know how to make a beat, physically. But then after that, D, he actually copped a Yamaha drum machine, and then that's when I actually started to learn from him on how to create drum patterns and bass lines off of that MIDI controller. That was a long time ago. But then after that I stopped because I didn't have a real passion to make beats because I didn't understand the hardware. Then you fast forward from high school, then go to college. Then I went to North Carolina Central. Then I met Ninth Wonder. This was before the Little Brother movement began. This was even before Justice League began. So, we was just kids on campus, and he had the dopest beats I've heard. So I've watched him make beats for years, but he was making beats off of Kool-Aid at first, and then he learned Fruity Loops. So I used to watch him, but I just didn't understand the dots. The graph or whatever, to make the beats on. I didn't understand the concept of Fruity Loops. And then, shortly after that, I met Crisis, and he was working on a program that we had on campus, at the radio station called The Saw. And he just knew how to use that, and then he started working on Fruity Loops, then he started beasting. So you figure for 10 straight years, I would watch these dudes make beats, and I just didn't understand it. But I always wanted to do it, but I just couldn't grasp the whole science and the mechanics behind using Fruity Loops or anything. But I was basically a producer at heart. I knew what I wanted, I just didn't know how to execute it. Then shortly after that, my artist C Minor just kind of took 2 hours of his day and showed me how to work Fruity Loops, and I got it. Then after that, I was awakened, so to speak. So I've just been making beats every day. I was so excited. Every beat I made, I would call him yo, come check the beat out, come check the beat out. And he would just sit back and just watch the potential that I had. So he seen I was learning step by step. Then I stepped out on blind faith and bought the machine because I was watching Knots when Big Pooh and I went to Knots studio, and I was listening to the beats he made on machine, and I was like, you making that off of that? I gotta get it. And mind you, I just learned Fruity Loops, so on blind faith I went to Guitar Center and bought the machine and Complete 9 and never looked back. I stopped using Fruity Loops immediately, and then all I did was work on the machine. And I just learned, and I started watching tutorials online. Then I found Machine Masters. Then I just started watching their tutorials, and that was it. And next thing you know, I started getting placements. It's kind of funny how I can sit back now and start creating music for artists that I grew up listening to. Sean Price, I sent him some beats, and he cursed me out, and he was like, yo, when did you start making beats? So he picked one of them joints, and then Drez, picked up a joint and it came out so crazy. So I'm just like, I'm still processing, that I can actually step out of the role of being an MC and then start producing records, and by myself, like no help. I'll get like some advice. I'm a sponge. I'm still a student, but like for the most part, I just kind of like do it on my own and see if the people gravitate to it, and people have, and it's kind of crazy.